Hello, and a very warm welcome. I'm Henry Little, Chief Executive of Opera Rara, and I'm joined by Carlo Rizzi, our Artistic Director.
Hello.
You join us from Skorka Hall at the National Opera Center, Opera America's home here in New York City. Thank you so much for joining us as we present our 56th season and our latest journey of operatic discovery. And here to show you what's to come is a short video. Wow, Carlo, what an amazing season we have to look forward to.
Well, we have an amazing season. We have a lot of amazing artists. We have a lot of amazing strand that we are going to explore with orchestra, with piano, small things, big things, discoveries. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to everything that we are going to do this season.
And it's great because I really think that right now we're starting from a real position of success. So just tell us a little bit about what for you have been the highlights of our 55th season.
Well, we have done also many things in the 55th season. From the point of view of the Donizetti project, obviously we have gone on with more recordings. And of course, also we have recorded La Rondine, and that has been a big thing, big undertaking with the final version that Puccini have wanted, actually, even if it's not been performed, and is so interesting because it's actually much more dramatic than the other versions, and many other things, the salon concerts, and working with a younger singer, that for me is very important because that shows that what we do is not only just putting things on a shelf, but actually discovering things that can be used. And at this, about this, I think that is very important to underline again what we have done with the Donizetti project. That is coming close to an end because we are nearly coming out with also the final installment, that 8th CD with Nicola Laimo, this time singing as a bass, not as a baritone. But now we have the full collection of the CDs, and with Nicola we will round up everything with a concert on the 16th of June at Wigmore Hall, and that will be really the crowning point of everything. But I really want to share with you, you probably know, but the wonderful thing of this project has been not only what we have done and the original idea, but actually how it's been received. And in a way, I am really positively surprised because, yes, I knew that we were going to do a very good project, but we won a lot of awards.
Tell us about those.
Well, the ICMA award that actually was for a CD with Armonella, I think.
Correct, that's it,
exactly. But in a way more important, also the Opera Award, because the Opera Award was not for one CD in particular, but was for the whole project. And for somebody like Opera Rara to be recognized for a multi-CD project, I think has been really, I have to tell you, I was very, very proud to be there to receive this prize with you and with Armonella.
Yeah, we were. I was also equally incredibly proud, and the wonderful thing about those awards is they're a vote of confidence in what for us are always going to be very brave, adventurous decisions, aren't they?
Well, yes, what we do is always to take a risk in a way, because we don't have the tradition. In a way, the less risky thing that we have done recently has been La Rondine, because, everybody knows La Rondine. And, but I think that what I really felt when we were receiving the prize is that together with all the other big opera company and orchestras and organizations that also received their own prize, we were in the midst, obviously, of something that can speak about this form of art, this opera, to the wider world and to the wider public. And that, for me, that was very, very important. So it was not just, Opera Rara is just doing a restoration, but was actually something that was together with all the other things that were listened to and uploaded to and given a prize to.
Well, let's not just rest on our current success. Let's talk a little bit about the future. And we invite you all to join us on our latest journey of operatic discovery. And for our supporters, we're really pleased to connect you with our work even further this year. Carlo.
Well, I would say let's just start to talk about one thing that I actually will not do.
Sure.
Because I'm very happy that one of my colleagues, Paul Daniel, will be conducting Barkhouf, that is an operetta of Offenbach. As the people that have been longer connected with opera Rara know, Offenbach has been also one of the first interests since the inception of the company 50 years ago. And I think we have something in store that is very interesting with Paul conducting. Actually, you have interviewed Paul, and so please, maybe let's just listen to this.
Let's take a look. I'm now delighted to be joined by two very special artists, the conductor, Paul Daniel, and singer, Katia Ledoux. Of course, Paul and Katia are very well known to Opera Rara audiences because Paul was the conductor of our award-winning recording of Offenbach's La Princesse de Trebizond, which also Katia had a starring role in as well. Paul and Katia, it's wonderful that you're with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to see you both. So, Offenbach has already and always had a very special place in the Opera Rara repertoire, and we were so thrilled with the reception that we had for our studio recording of La Princesse de Trebizond. And now we move on to our next Offenbach project, which of course is his wonderful piece, Barkhouf. Paul, tell us a little bit about the project and why you think a recording of Barkhouf really matters today.
Well, in the great tradition of opera rara, it's a very unknown opera by opera bouffe by Offenbach. It's another quite rare piece. It's had two wonderful productions in Europe in the last few years, but they, of course, have just been the productions and very beautifully done and very well attended. But of course, they are now, as it were, lost. They're not recorded in any way. And it seems to me, seems to all of us, a fantastic opportunity to grab this wonderful opera bouffe of Offenbach, a piece that was written on the back of the huge success he'd had with Orpheus in the Underworld, but which was presented at a time when the Parisian press and the critics were very against the idea of Offenbach becoming more successful in, let's say, more traditional places like the Opera Comique, where it was put on. And it was sunk without trace. After the huge success of Orpheus in the Underworld, suddenly he was faced with this rather strange failure brought about by the press. Of course, the Parisian press were wonderful at sinking projects they didn't like. They ran Wagner out of town, out of Paris, only a year later, and he never returned. So it wasn't just Offenbach who was a victim of this press, the cabal, if you like. But Barkhouf is a fantastic satire. It's a wonderful transition between his rather more kind of review-like and rapid-fire satires that he wrote for his smaller theatre and some of the larger scale, more lyrical pieces that he then grew to write over the next few years. But this is his first, if you like, attempt at a much more lyrical and much more classically written, musically speaking, classically written score. And it's a wonderful piece full of incredible treasures, and it's dying for a recording.
And the piece is essentially a political satire, isn't it? It's very much about the various kind of dysfunctions of European politics in 1860 when it was written. How much of that satire, how much of that political dysfunction, if you like, is relevant today?
How much of it is relevant today? Offenbach is relevant for every single week of any year that you look at the newspapers. What he was writing and what he wrote with his librettist, is a perfect version of any week in politics. There's a corrupt official, and there is a governor, and there is a grand mogul. He's like the king. Of course, at the time that it was written, the censors insisted that the idea of even if it was going to get onto the stage had to be rewritten, and the word king had to be taken out of the libretto and replaced by these rather esoteric and rather more kind of oriental titles like mogul. But essentially, even though it's set in a far off imaginary place on the other side of the world, of course, it referred very much to Paris, and it could refer to us here and now. You know, in any country there's a corrupt official who's trying to take advantage of a system that he hates. He's being terrorized, and he's fundamentally he's unable to question the system, so he just sort of tries to fight it in every way he can. He has a daughter, and he has people that he is permanently opposed to. And then the younger generation basically find their way to get rid of him. It's a wonderful political satire.
And Katja, just bringing you in for a second, it was so great to have you as part of the cast for La Princesse de Trebizond. And now you're coming back for your second studio recording with Opera Rara, again with an Offenbach piece. Why do you keep coming back to this music? What inspires you about Offenbach's work?
I mean, I am French, so there is something also about pride in Offenbach's music, because Offenbach basically, I mean, okay, I have to be really quiet saying this because I'm currently in Vienna, so the city that calls him the city of operetta. But the way that Offenbach has the input that Offenbach brought to the world of operetta is, in my point, absolutely a fantastic one. It's so biting and politically, but with beautiful and gorgeous music. So I just absolutely love it. And for me, the Princesse de Trebizond was, I mean, especially a very special recording because it was my very first recording at all. I had never done a recording before. So that was really, really special. And to see how much has happened in that time. And now, I mean, especially in the German-speaking countries, I'm like everywhere in the press and on TV and on radio. And if I think back just a few years, I was, just this scared little singer arriving and, oh my God, I have my first production of La Princesse de Trebizond. How is that going to be? I'm really excited to now be able to come back in the recording studio with much more confidence and yeah, having still being in this great music and with this amount of passion that is always in the opera rara productions, but this time knowing what I'm doing.
Fantastic. Well, you are in, as you were with La Princesse de Trebizond, some very illustrious company. And to introduce the cast, we have Jan Bouron in the role of Baba Beck, Matthias Vidal in the role of Saeb, Francois Piolino in the role of Caliboul, Anne-Catherine Gillet in the role of Mayama. And in fact, Anne-Catherine, as people will remember, also had a starring role in La Princesse de Trebizond as well. Obviously, Katja, you are singing the role of Perizade, with Thibault de Damas as Le Grand Mogul. And we will be working this time, renewing our partnership with the Halle in Manchester, a first time collaboration, which we are really thrilled about, with the Chorus of English National Opera and working alongside the chorus from the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester. The concert performance, which will immediately follow the completion of the studio recording, will be on Sunday, the 4th of October at 4 o'clock at Manchester's Bridgewater Hall. So we really hope that as many of you as possible can join us for this very exciting event when, for the very first time, Barkouf will be performed for English audiences. So, thinking back 3 years ago, I believe it was, in 2022. Um, I want to ask each of you, what were your fondest memories of that recording and concert performance of La Princesse de Trebizond? Katia, let's start with you.
I think it would have been maybe the concert that we had at the end of the project at the Queen Elizabeth Hall. Um, so to play in front of this audience, this piece that we had worked on and presented, and everyone was laughing and having this great orchestra behind us. And also we had next to us Dame Harriet Walter. It was such an incredible moment. I absolutely loved it.
Great. And Paul, what about you?
Well, recording with Opera Rara is something really special because, you know, when you make recordings, often you're thrown all together very quickly into a recording studio and you get on with it as quickly and efficiently as you can. But Opera Rara invests in the idea of really getting under the skin of the piece by getting all of the company together and having the time to rehearse and to play with the text and to play with each other's ideas and to rehearse the dialogues. Beautifully done. Everybody was in such a wonderful spirit. After a week of fantastic rehearsals, going into the recordings with the orchestra was a breeze, and it was again a tremendous experience. The Opera is like a family. It's not just a company sort of throwing microphones at singers and orchestras. It's a whole family, and the whole aegis of working in this kind of family atmosphere makes a huge difference to the way we feel. Everybody is part of a family, part of an ensemble. And as Katja said, you know, ending with such a wonderful way with a concert performance, packed full, with a wonderful spirit that everybody knows exactly how to present this wonderful project that we've just done to a huge public, was also a great treat.
Beautifully said from both of you. Thank you very much. But for now, a big thank you to you, Paul, and to you, Katia, and we're hugely looking forward to working with you both next season. Well, we are all tremendously looking forward to the Barkov project. But for now, Carlo, let's move on. Let's move to the second studio opera recording that we're going to make in our 26-27 season, which is, of course, Mercadante's Il Campo dei Crociati.
Yeah.
You recently spoke with Roger Parker, the editor of that new score, a score which has not been heard for centuries, in fact. Let's have a look at a little clip now, shall we?
So, Roger, we are here now talking about another Mercadante opera after Il Proscritto. That was a wonderful thing, a wonderful success, and a great opera. And I have to say, I have to thank you because you have been the first one that actually, well, not introduced me to Mercadante, but started to whisper in my ear, you know, Mercadante is the fifth column of the Italian. So where do you put Mercadante, you know, in connection with all the other greats of Italian opera?
Yeah, I think, you know, what's very interesting is what all of us you learn in the history books about Mercadante is this reform period, you know, that he attempted to do this change and move away from Donizetti and Bellini in the 1830s. But I think what we've been pulled towards is the later Mercadante. The reform didn't really work, and then the story of Italian opera in the 1840s onwards is Verdi, Verdi, Verdi. You know, there's nothing else, and so I think with Il Proscritto, I mean, for me, what was really amazing about that opera was finding an opera that was saying something really genuinely different. It doesn't sound like Donizetti and Bellini. It doesn't sound like Verdi, and that means we understand all those composers better because of that. I think one of the great problems with Italian opera, you know, after 1840 is that the only person we know is Verdi.
Yeah.
So it was fascinating to do that, and I think I remember, you know, when we were both working on Il Proscritto, how sort of fascinating it was really to see that our ideas about Mercadante weren't really entirely up to date, and you know, the melodic writing in particular was
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you are absolutely right in that. I do remember, and also from the dramatic point of view, for example, the bold choice that he made with the proscritto, to basically the third act just being a trio,
Mm.
that's really wonderful. And now, talking to our next project, Il Campo dei Crociati, where do you put this compared to il proscritto and in the general, production of Mercadante?
Yeah, well, I think Il Proscritto is just before Verdi appears on the scene. But Il Campo is 1848. It's right, it's with the full understanding of the impact that Verdi has made. And it's also an opera that's written for Milan. So it puts into the clearest possible context what a composer needed to do to compete with Verdi. And there's no doubt that Mercadante thought of Verdi as a competitor. And indeed, when it came to the 1850s, Mercadante was doing everything he could to keep Verdi off the stage in Naples. Imagine trying to resist the advent of Il Trovatore, and he
Yeah,
tried, failed.
yeah,
But this opera, I think what's really interesting about this opera is its relationship to early Verdi. This is clearly a composer who's listened to early Verdi and thought that he could do something similar but better
yeah.
than him.
No, you are so right, and we have just worked with Herman Alcantara that will be singing one of the roles in Il Campo dei Crociati. We have been working on his aria of Ismaele, and both me and him when we were just rehearsing, we just said, "Well, this is really wonderful music like." Early Verdi. This is exactly
Yeah,
what you said.
yeah,
But for
yeah,
me, in the Campo dei Crociati, what is actually interesting is the figure, the role of Leah
yeah.
of the soprano. That is beautiful, very difficult, and very compelling as a story. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first started looking at the opera, the first slow movement of the first aria, and there's a high B flat, almost immediately. It's an incredibly demanding role, and I think the other thing about it is that, yeah, certainly the men come in and they're battling for her, but she's at the center of the drama, all the way through, and she's the one who changes. She's angry, or she's not by any means a passive victim of
Oh, absolutely.
all this. Yeah, she's the most powerful character in the opera in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, and this
Um,
gets also reflected from the variety of what she has to sing and
yeah, yeah,
experience
yeah.
in all this
But
opera.
it's an extremely, I don't know what Verdi role would you compare it with? Maybe Violetta in Traviata would be the thing, because it requires great force, great agility, great dramatic impact.
Well, for me, when you mentioned Traviata. For me, what is also great in Verdi and in a way in Lea, in Il Campo dei Crociati, is not only the dramatic power. Or we all say that to do sing with Violetta, we need two sopranos, one for the first act, one for the second and the third act. But for me, is the three-dimensionality, if we want, of the role of the
Yes,
because of this variety of the emotion of the things that she expresses, and that for me
yeah,
is the real interesting part. And
yeah. You could almost say that, and you don't say this of so many operatic characters, that she has psychological complexity.
yeah,
That
yeah,
there's a complicated character there.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's very interesting because actually, very often the most interesting character I find that are female, that are women
yeah,
in operas.
yeah,
Sometimes men, particularly sometimes tenors, are
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah, yeah,
monodimensional. Let's put it in this way. But talking
yeah.
about the cast, we have definitely not a monodimensional cast because well, Lea will be Rosa Feola that we all love, and she's
Yeah,
done. It just came out the Donizetti. recording of the songs. Great artist. The tenor will be Ivan Ayon Rivas, that also collaborated with us in already 2 recordings. Well, one was Il Proscritto, the first one, and now in La Rondine. Herman Enrique Alcantara, that has been the discovery, let's say, of the version of Simon Boccanegra that done with Opera Rara. Giorgio Manoshvili, and there will be the great orchestra, London Philharmonic Orchestra, and the great chorus, English National Opera Chorus. So I'm, well, conducted by me. And I am personally very, very much looking forward to this, to assemble all these people, the different experience and this different, artistry for this new opera, this new exploration of Mercadante. And so the concert will be on the 5th of May, 2027, at 7 p.m. at Queen Elizabeth Hall at the South Bank Center. And I hope that all of you will come, because for me will be, I think, another really interesting and wonderful Opera Rara moment. And Roger, so when people will come to the concert, what they will expect to hear, what do you think they will be more attracted to in this opera, Il Campo dei Crociati?
Yeah, but it's interesting. There are 4 magnificent roles. There's no doubt about that for the soprano, tenor, baritone, and bass. But I think equally important in all sorts of ways is that this is a huge choral opera, and the banda is enormously important as well. It's a bit like I Lombardi of Verdi, that's the nearest, and it's somewhat similar in plot. But the chorus, the interesting thing is the chorus is not just an ornamental part of this opera. It appears in a large number of the solo arias as well, sort of enforcing it. So there's the sound world of the opera is a really expanded one in all sorts of ways.
I would like really to thank Roger, because, honestly, Roger, on a personal point of view and also from the point of view of Opera Rara, without your expertise in this kind of repertoire, things would be much more difficult. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Carlo, you've just had your very first rehearsal working with the baritone Herman Enrique Alcantara, who's singing the role of Ismaele. And that rehearsal was right here at the Skorka Hall at the National Opera Center in New York. How does it feel for you to be working on another Mercadante opera after the success that we all enjoyed with Il Proscritto?
Well, Mercadante is a composer that I think is incredibly interesting, even if he's been less fortunate of his contemporary, the Verdi, the Bellini, the Donizetti. But I think has a lot of offer. And when we were rehearsing with Herman here in this hall, when the notes of Il Campo dei Crociati were reverberating for the first time after a long time, well, it was very interesting and very pleasurable, actually, to discover this aria. This is the aria of Ismaele in the second act, because it is an incredible piece. Is very wonderfully written, good melodies, dramatic, very demanding, actually, very demanding for the baritone, and it's nothing to to be second to the first Verdi, to this sort of really heroic and slightly pushy way of singing and then developing emotions. So that was really, really wonderful. And I think, of course, I looked at the score, I studied the score of the whole opera. There are many of these moments, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, earlier on today, we were really happy to be able to capture some of that rehearsal of you with Herman, as I say, singing Ismaele's aria. Let's take a look at that now.
In broad
I'm really excited to say that our 26-27 season also has the release of our studio recording of the final 1921 version of Puccini's La Rondine. And it's a real pleasure to think back to December 2025. We had just completed the studio recording, and we were about, for the very first time in almost 100 years, to bring this piece back to the public to a sold-out concert at London's Barbican Centre. Carlo, how was that for you to be conducting that final version of Puccini's La Rondine for the first time in so long?
Well, first to see a sold-out hall is always fantastic.
Sure.
You know, because everybody's there to listen to what we have to offer, me, the singers, the orchestra, the chorus. So that was really exciting. And then, of course, I was really happy to be able to collaborate with such great singers, because you know, for this opera, you really need a lot of very, very good singers, and each one of them was really phenomenal. And of course, without fail, Ermonella Jacob delivered. I told her, "You are the Rondine." So that was wonderful. And also before that, the recording process has been very positive. Everybody was really collaborating. That is something that I have to say with Opera Rara. This is one of the things that personally I enjoy working with Opera Rara, because everybody that says yes to a proposal of Opera Rara, it just does it for the passion of what we do. You know, to have to learn something that maybe will not be repeated very often is something wonderful, and to have also the responsibility to lay it down for posterity in a studio recording. That is something that gets done not very often these days. Really requires singers and artists that are committed to this. And this already, I have to say, is the 50% of the work done, because when everybody is aiming for the same goal, that's it. And but I also am in the very privileged situation just in these days, because I received the first edit of the recording. And so I was listening just in these days, and well, you can judge from the smile on my on my face. I think is going to come out really well, and really well, not only technically. You know, when we do a recording, always we are thinking about, is this in tune, is this together, blah, blah, blah. That is obviously fine, as the ABC of what we need to do. But there is also D, E, F, etc., because I think that we have been able, through the work of everybody, to capture the fact of that we are offering, although in the recording, a live situation, almost a live performance, and that is what, for me, makes a recording really worthwhile. And actually, without any ado, let's just look at the video that we have prepared.
Great. We are delighted at Opera Rara to be making this first ever studio recording of the 1921 version of La Rondine.
Puccini published 3 different editions of this opera, so what we actually end up with is a more tragic version of La Rondine, certainly by the end of the opera, but also definitely the most sophisticated, ambitious version of the opera that we already know.
The people that will know La Rondine will notice different lines in the first and the second act, but then the real difference is in the third act. This is completely thought anew.
It contains both some of the most innocent, rapturous love music that Puccini ever wrote, but also some of the most comic, sparkling, and also tragic.
Puccini never heard this third 1921 version during his lifetime, even though it was the one that he clearly preferred.
It's like, you go and you open that secret door on Puccini's heart.
La Rondine is a beautiful story with gorgeous music, and it's a story which transports you.
I think it's the most pure version of La Rondine. I think it's very important.
Emotionally, dramatically, it has that kind of energy that maybe the other 2 versions they didn't have.
The quality of it will be great. We are lucky this will stay forever.
We are augmenting the place of La Rondine for future generations of singers, for future generations of opera houses, but above all for future generations of audiences to enjoy. Listening to La Rondine is pure, unadulterated pleasure. And of course, alongside all of this work on this extraordinary discovery of Puccini's final version of La Rondine, we've also been focusing more widely on Puccini generally. And we've done that through our Puccini Lives in Song podcast series, which is hosted by Flora Wilson. There are 2 more episodes coming out this season with special guest and collaborator Dietlef Rindom, who will talk to us about that journey of discovery that we've captured with La Rondine. We'll also continue our exploration of composers and artists' lives in song next year. So for now, let's just take a look at a little clip from Lives in Song, which features Carlo speaking with Flora Wilson about La Rondine.
Well, time is almost up in today's episode, but that also means it's Ask Opera Rara o'clock. So, as always, if you'd like to get in touch with us with a query, no matter how large or small, please do email us at ask@opera-rara.com or just use the hashtag AskOperaRara on our social channels. The links are also in the show notes. We do love to hear from you, and we'll get back to every single query, so please do get in touch with us. So, for today, we polled our listeners and followers across our social media channels, and Carlo, I'm glad to say that 80% of our Instagram followers want you to explain to them why it's important for Opera Rara to be recording the final 1921 version of Puccini's La Rondine. This, of course, is the opera that you're about to go off to another rehearsal for. So why does this matter?
Thank you for the 80% of the followers, because this is a very important question. So, with Opera Rara, we generally find
a non-opera or earlier version of opera. This is the legacy that we want to leave about opera, because we are passionate about that. But La Rondine is different. The version of La Rondine that we are doing is the last version, is the version that Puccini believed in. This is the third version. Now, generally, in the operas that we perform in the repertoire, the version that you perform is the last version, is the one that, the final one. But in La Rondine is different. The version that we generally know, that I have conducted and many other conductors have conducted, is the first version. But clearly Puccini was not happy. It was not because it was an insuccess. It was a very good success. But there was something that was not happy. He was not happy with. And he made the second version. And the second version also was very short-lived because he was not happy. He withdrew it. And he wrote this version, the third version, that is actually never been performed as we do it now, with Act 1, 2, and 3 from the third version. And in this case, is not just doing musical archaeology, as we generally do, but is actually trying to give a voice to this great composer of what his wishes were about this beautiful opera. The third version, what we are going to do, is what Puccini wanted, and has not yet been done like this.
All right, Carlo has spoken. That is the answer on that one.
So the realization of these extraordinary projects like the restoration, the studio recording, the public concert performance of this 1921 version of La Rondine are very ambitious and adventurous undertakings. And we could not do them, Carlo, could we, without the help of our supporters?
Yes, it's a little bit of a cliche, if you want, but sure, actually is 100% true. And for me personally, I have to say, from the point of view of not so much as artistic director of Opera Rara, but as an artist, to see so many of you committed to this project, really, trust me, you are one of the main reasons why the artists give the 100%. Is not just a question of supporting, but is a question of, with your support, you believe in what we do. And for an artist, this is very, very, very important. So thank you very much from me and from all the big Opera Rara family for your help and your support.
And I think on behalf of both you and me, I would say, as always at Opera Rara, we are incredibly grateful to our supporters and donors who make our work possible, to our guardians for their steadfast support, and also to our circle members, our patrons, and our friends. We say a huge thank you. I'd like the opportunity to specifically thank our Donizetti Syndicate, who have generously supported our Donizetti Song Project from the very first year. And as we approach the completion of this project, and having received some prestigious accolades for it, we thank you because you have helped us to secure a rich legacy for this new and beautiful music that we hope will endure for generations to come. I think we're all becoming aware that Opera Rara's reputation and future has never been brighter. News of the high level of work we do is spreading far and wide as we continue to win several prestigious international awards. We've also started receiving millions of views online, leading many of us to think we're entering a new era of opportunity and expansion. With this in mind, I want to thank our international supporters, including the current and future members of the American Friends of Opera Rara, as well as our new international circle. Your passion for what we do is going to be an essential part of our future success. I'd like to thank the supporters who have given to our annual Championing Emerging Artists fundraising campaign. Through your generosity, You have created many opportunities for young artists on the cusp of global careers, many of whom are now making exciting debuts globally thanks to your support. If you'd like to join our growing family of supporters, please make a donation to Opera Rara today. You can do that through our website. We currently receive no government funding, and approximately 85% of our work is solely funded by you, our supporters. Partnership lies at the heart of everything that Opera Rara does. We work in partnership with great artists, we work in partnership with great orchestras, with recording venues, with concert venues. Partnership really is part of the Opera Rara DNA. Carlo, tell us a little bit about what those partnerships mean for you.
Well, one thing I would like to start with saying this. When I started to be artistic director of Opera Rara, that is
2019, I think
2019,
it was. Yeah.
so it's about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
A couple of times when I said, yes, I'm artistic director of Opera Rara, I had the feeling that the person in front of me was saying, opera who? And I have to say, this doesn't happen anymore. And I think this is not a brownie point for me, it's a brownie point for the company. And this, I think, has been achieved through a partnership, through the fact that many people are involved, therefore many people speak about Opera Rara. And so apart from this moment of recognition, for me personally is important because we are working with artists. That means that we have to also look at artists of the future. And one thing that I am particularly proud of this Donizetti song is that it's been a way through, in a way, a more elastic, a more easy way through to the new generation of singer, and a vast array also of organization than with a big opera that we record, with orchestra and chorus. And so I am really very pleased that the songs have been taken up by many singers in concerts or in schools. I mean, you will know all the details for this. Also because I really believe that, if I can say another small story, when I was younger, and of course I started as a pianist, I worked a lot with singers, and the singers were asking me, can you play this, can you play that? And there were many, many songs, mainly French and German. The Italian songs, alas, there were few and far in between. There was a book of about 20 songs, and we're always that one. And with this, we are completely revolutionized with this Donizetti project. So I am very, very happy that singers have much more choices that will help them through their vocal studies and also through their presentation of them on themselves. And why you don't say all the partnership that we have?
Yeah, no, sure. I was just kind of reflecting because at the heart of Opera Rara's mission, of course, is the rewriting of operatic history. That's what we're about. And I think that rewriting of history also extends to the rewriting of song history, exactly as you were saying about positioning those songs in a way that young students, young singers emerging can choose from a body of Italian songs, whereas before perhaps their choices were a bit more focused on the more well-known German and French repertory. Now, in order to do that, we have to work in partnership. And I'm really pleased to say that we've started some really interesting and valuable partnerships with a number of major operatic institutions worldwide. The first, of course, is with the Donizetti Opera Festival in Bergamo, in Italy, the place where Donizetti was born and the place where each year the town of Bergamo launches an extraordinary celebration of Donizetti's extraordinary work. And we are very pleased to be collaborating with the festival on a 3-year program where they will perform all of the Donizetti songs that we have recorded at Opera Rara over the last 2 years, and they will do that with the young artists from the festival's Bottega program. So this is very much about working with the new generation of singers who are coming through to take their place in the profession. Not only that, but in the next year, in their 2026 festival, the Donizetti Opera Festival will also be staging our edition of L'Esola di Roma that we recorded with you, Carlo, back in 2023. So that's also a very exciting development. We are also delighted to be collaborating here in New York with the Juilliard School, one of the major global conservatoires. And we're thrilled that Carlo will be working with students at the school, and this will culminate in a concert in the autumn which will feature Donizetti's songs. Back in the UK, we are also launching a new relationship with the Oxford International Song Festival, an organisation that is well known throughout the world for their promotion of vocal music. And we are thrilled that the Oxford International Song Festival will be presenting Germán Alcántara and Anna Tilbrook in a concert of songs by Donizetti and Argentine composers. So this is also a way that we can showcase how the influence of Donizetti's songs has spread far and wide around the world. We are also very pleased to be continuing our series of salon concerts, and in doing so, making some new partnerships. The first, in the autumn of 2026, will be a relationship with the National Opera Studio based in London in the United Kingdom, which will host a day-long event culminating in a concert which will focus on the music of Jacques Offenbach, and that will continue directly from our studio recording and concert of Barkouf that we will have just completed. Moving on from there, we are also building a new relationship with the Tosti International Singing Academy, partnering in a day-long event of masterclasses culminating in a concert featuring the songs by Tosti. And finally, there will be 2 further salon concerts in the spring, which we will announce later this year. So now, I hope you're starting to get a sense about some of the new relationships and partnerships that Opera Rara will be featuring in our 26-27 season. Some of those relationships are based in our home in the UK, but many are based outside the UK. And it's this repositioning of Opera Rara as part of a global network that I think is really exciting. Carlo, you're a really important ingredient for that because of the amount of work you do around the world. Tell us a little bit how it feels to be representing Opera Rara.
Yeah, but also what you were saying about being global, you know, these days everything is global. So sure. We need, you know, one thing was Opera Rara 50 years ago, but now we have to be on many stages and, you know, in the vision of many other organizations. And as I was saying earlier, it's great that when I mentioned the name of Opera Rara, the vast majority of people, they actually know what I'm talking about. So that this is very important. And you know, Opera Rara, of course, was created in London, but it's also great that now we have so many people that are interested in what we are doing in other places, like, you know, like Italy, like America. And this only added to our sense of wanting to do better, to, from our point of view, to help to widen and to complete the, the panorama, the picture of this art form that, to me, is incredible. Opera is fantastic, although not everybody thinks like that, but we will speak later about that.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
So, yeah, no, and it's great. Also, you were telling me some statistics about our, what we have, how many people have watched our videos, etc. So that is so important.
It is, you're right, it's so important. And one of the things I'm really pleased to talk about is the extent to which Opera Rara recently has gone viral on social media. It's also great that we're talking to you from New York to tell you about our discoveries in our 26-27 season. And our latest full opera recording, which was Verdi's 1857 version of Simon Boccanegra, was listed by the New York Times as one of the best recordings of 2025 in December. Now, since then, videos of that recording have gone viral online, receiving millions of views. In fact, over 3 million total views across all social media channels, and engaging with new audiences, 70% of which are under the age of 55. These are really exciting statistics, and, well, if there was ever an answer to Timothée Chalamet's criticism of opera, I think that's it. So to bring things to a close, let's just have a quick review of all the exciting things that will be featured in Opera Rara's 26-27 season. The studio recording and concert of Offenbach's Barkhouf, followed by the next studio recording and concert of Mercadante's Il Campo dei Crociati. The recording release of the final 1921 version of Puccini's La Rondine, as well as our cycle of salon concerts. There are, alongside that, many ways to connect with Opera Rara online to learn more about our work. All of our salon concerts will be broadcast, and the masterclasses that we will also be featuring will also be available online. And our Lives in Song podcast will feature releases throughout the season. For now, Carlo and I say a huge thank you to you all for joining us today, and we invite you to join us for our 56th season of Operatic Discovery.
Thank you. Grazie.